okay. I'm hoping all of you spend some extra minutes every night spending on Reels rather than sleeping. I'm guilty of that, so I hope you guys are too. With that said, today I'm here to talk to you about what Reels are, why are they important, especially for your business, and the most important thing on how you can leverage and build for Reels today to make an impact on your business. Okay. Before we start, just have a quick moment to have a look at this video right behind me. This here is not a reel, but it shares a lot of similarities with what reels are and how they look. It's a person who is center stage. She has a camera in her hand and she's spanning it across, inviting us into a moment and an experience to be a part of what she wants to show us. It's simple, there's no complex narrative, there's no complex story, it's easy to understand and to follow. This is becoming extremely common and a very, very common way of showcasing videos in the new entertainment format. Here's another one. I'm sure you guys are familiar with various such videos. They're short, they're snappy, they're easy to understand. This short form video is the next big shift in how we make, watch, and even share entertaining content. The interesting thing about short form videos is that they tend to be unvarnished, lo-fi, and relatable. The more complex you make it, the harder it is for you to actually capture the attention of users. These stories work even better when they are concise and they reward the audience for the attention that we seek of them. And most importantly, they are effective when they're highly entertaining and they have a surprising or a mesmerizing piece of content that you share with the audience. From a brand perspective, Reels is where brands are reaching the most valuable audiences today. 3.8 billion people are actually using Meta's surfaces every month. With that said, most of the time that audiences are spending, over 50%, is actually spent on video formats. And as you can imagine, with the rise of short-form video, it's 50% of the time is actually spent a lot more on Reels. With the AI work that we have done in building our content and our machine learning models, we actually realized that after introducing Reels, the time spent on Instagram has gone up by 24%. Brands are also tapping into culture and community. This helps in making sure that consumers can actually relate and make sure that they are actually able to share the content that they find relatable. 2 billion Reels are shared each day, and this number is actually continuing every day. And I'm sure all of us have made this a new form of sharing content and engaging with our loved ones. The last thing is that brands are actually turning action into attention using Reels. We surveyed a lot of people, and 2/3 of them actually have purchased a product or service after watching Reels. Then the question might come up, why is Reels important, and why is Reels important for you as a brand? Let's look at it this way. Reels actually turn attention into action and can help you supercharge your campaign performance. If we look at the funnel top down, at the top you have awareness. We've run a lot of studies to actually see what the impact of Reels was on your marketing campaigns. Adding Instagram Reels ads to existing Facebook feed as well as Stories ads actually showed that they had a better performance than just having feed and Stories ads alone on Facebook as well as Instagram. In the consideration or the mid-funnel phase, adding Instagram Reels ads to your business as usual direct response advertising significantly increased the likelihood of page visits, add to carts, and even purchases. And lastly, in all our tests, we saw that using the language of Reels and customizing your creatives to be specific to Reels actually helped reduce the cost per incremental conversion that you find from your marketing campaigns. The difference that I want you to take away today is that Reels isn't just a placement. It's not just a format. It's actually a language. And there's not one way that you can make a reel. There's multiple different aspects that we've seen that can actually bring together and make it relatable, entertaining, and all of that. But what I want you to take away at the end of this presentation is to think about how are you going to natively be creating for reels rather than just adapting and building something just to fit the format. Now, like I said, language of reels is extremely important, and it has 3 broad qualities. It's entertaining, it's digestible, and it's relatable. All 3 things as an audience, I'm sure you understand. So first and foremost, let's talk about great reels being entertaining. All of us as consumers always engage with content that you find entertaining. Again, there's no one way to make a content entertaining. There can be multiple different things that you can look at. One example can be actually looking at different ways to cut the video that you're going to be using. Let me play this one for you.
No more boring reels, 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 no more boring reels.
Here's an example from a brand called Videoleap, who created an original audio track that actually cut through with its unique voiceover. What might have actually struck you as I played this video was that audio and sound typically tends to be a big part of all our Reels content. This can be a great way to actually capture the attention of consumers and make sure that you keep them engaged. If I'm not wrong, 80% of the Reels content is actually played with sound on. So that's a great thing to keep in mind, that when you're building for Reels, make sure you have a snappy sound built into that. Here's another example that I'll share with you from BMW, where they partnered with a creator to create a mobile short video. So it's a lo-fi video that was shot on a mobile using editing techniques and trick videography that are popular on Reels. Again, there's a lot of editing features that we have available on the app, which you should definitely use to try and make the video as snappy as possible. The next thing I mentioned about good reels is that they're digestible. Think of the last time you watched a reel which was simple. They gave you the message up front. It was either broken down into smaller chunks so you could understand it, so you didn't have to pay a lot of attention, and even if you were to pay a little bit of attention, you would be able to take the key messages away from that. Here's another example from Videoleap, where they actually use text stickers as overlays to make the tutorial easy to understand. Text stickers have actually been used a lot, and you might have seen them a lot on the reels that you watch anyway. This is a great way to break down your content into something digestible by having your message kind of cut across different smaller chunks that are easy to understand. Let's have a look at this video. The next example I have here is from a brand called Magal Jewelry. What they did was to make sure that their content was upfront, and the key message that they wanted the audience to take away was showed right at the beginning. Again, we all know that making sure that your content is attractive and you can actually engage the audience in the first couple of seconds is extremely important. So what they did was to make sure that the key message they wanted the users to take away was right up front. Let's have a look at what they did.
Mom, Mother.
Mama.
It's so cute and was just made for me.
The last piece, and I think this is equally important, is that great reels tend to be quite relatable. We have a lot of ways that we can use, parts of the brand to connect with things that are part of our culture and our community, to make sure that they are actually, things that people will understand. You can use visual codes, you can use shared behaviors as well to actually establish a personal connection with your viewer. I'll play an example for you here from another brand called Pros, where they turned this into a conversation between two people. Well, it's a play on conversation between two people because it's the same person acting as two different people and having a conversation. Again, a format that works quite well on the platform.
My hair is looking greasy, dull, and stringy. Oh, your hair looks amazing.
Oh, yeah, it does look stringy. Well, what shampoo do you use?
Generic shampoo?
So you need to be using Custom Pro shampoo. You just go online and take their consultation, and they'll ask you questions about the climate you live in, your hair goals, hair concerns, and then they give you the customized products just for you.
Is that eucalyptus?
You even get to pick your own scent.
Oh, I'm already on the pros web.
Lazy Girl Shopping Guide with Adore Me. Step 1, an easy online quiz to get cute, personalized items. Step 2, a box gets delivered to your door and you're all set. Let me show you the ultimate.
So those are some good examples of how to think about reels from the perspective of them being entertaining, digestible, as well as relatable. Now that you understand the basics, here's a few creative essentials that I want you to take away that you can start implementing almost immediately to your current assets to try and make sure that you're following the language of reels. Number 1 is to make sure that you have a 9:16 video, because as you know, reels are immersive, most of them are watched on mobile, so making sure that you're using the entire real estate is extremely important. Number 2 is to build for sound on. I've mentioned this before and I'll mention it again, but sounds are extremely helpful in captivating your audience and making sure you're building for the nativity of the platform. The last one is to build for safe zones. We always ask our advertisers to make sure that they're leaving about 30 to 35% of the space at the bottom of the asset free of any stickers or key messaging for a call to action. So make sure you're doing that just so that anyone who watches your video doesn't miss out on the key message. Now that you know the creative essentials that you need to just transform some of your assets into reels, I want to walk you through some of the key things that you might want to look at when you structure your story. Structuring a story and telling a story through reels is extremely important. It's not just about putting the message out there that you want to tell the audience, but making sure that you're actually relating it to something that the audience will understand. I'll walk you through 3 steps that might help you on how to think about storytelling and storyboarding your key message. The first one is to capture attention. Like I mentioned before, typically, a great reel will nail the hook, which means that you need to have an extremely pointed and very interesting hook to make sure that the audience decides to stop, watch the content before moving on. So if you were to spend time on something that's extremely critical, I would make sure that you have something that actually nails the hook. Once you've done that, it's equally important to make sure you're able to maintain the attention of the users once you've captured it. Now, this can be done by ensuring that you're providing some kind of a value to the user. It could be an expert tip, it could be something that they'll walk away with, but your key message and making sure that it's interesting enough and relatable enough is something equally important to make sure you maintain the attention. And the last one is the conclusion. This is important as well because when you think about yourself as an audience, you're bombarded with a lot of messages every single day. But making sure that you're taking something away is equally important for a brand. And therefore, at the end of the video, make sure that you have a call to action, you have some kind of a payoff, something the audience can take away to feel rewarded for the attention that they have given your content. You might feel that it's a little bit hard to understand or to know where to start building your stories, and therefore I'll share with you a couple of ideas around a few story types that you might use, which can be thought of as building blocks for storytelling. It's no way the only format to do it. However, it can be probably an interesting way for you to think about and lift some of the examples that I share with you here, adapt them to what works for your brand, layer on your messaging, and then make sure that it's something that will land with the audience, forming or built off of the main foundations of creative building that we just talked through. So I'll walk you through 3 different story types. These story types are not all-encompassing. They change over time as well. However, these are based on some of the trends that we have seen that have emerged on Reels over the last couple of months. These can be great jumping off points, and if you're not sure where to start on building a story for Reels, feel free to pick one of these up, build your own messaging on top of it, put in your creative assets, and move with it. All of the examples that I'm going to share with you are gaming examples, so it'll give you a good sense of how you might be able to pick one of these and adapt it for your own title as well. Let's look at the first one. This is a street interview. I'm sure all of you have seen these come up on your Reels feed from time to time, but essentially it uses the format of challenging a passerby to beat the interviewer in their game. Let's have a look at the video and then we'll dissect it.
You play games?
Yeah.
I'll give you $100 if you can survive 3 minutes in Survivor IO.
What game is that?
Bro, the game's so challenging. None of my friends can survive more than 3 minutes.
Alright, let's run it.
Yes, let's go. Alright bro, better luck next time. You should practice more when you get home.
Yeah, bro, I'll win the 100 next time.
Alright guys, download Survivor IO. Just to warn you, you will be addicted.
Let's dissect this. If you look at it from the 3 foundations that we spoke about, which was capturing attention, maintaining attention, and rewarding attention, this particular video does a fantastic job at capturing the attention. Right at the beginning, it poses a challenge for real money if the player is successful. What's also interesting is the authenticity of a video like this, where the interviewer seems completely random, and you're actually able to show that there is opportunity to actually make some money if the player is successful. So great hook. After that, the video actually goes on to show you gameplay. It shows you gameplay of someone at different skill levels. So there's someone who's successful and there's someone who's not, which is also a great way to incorporate your video, your gameplay video into the asset. And the last one is there is a call to action. It says you will be addicted. Now that's a great way to actually end the video and make sure that someone will actually take some action and hopefully download the app. The next example I have here is what we call in real life hook. Now this particular video, and I'll show that to you in a second, it's an editorial approach. Again, you might have seen very similar content on your feeds before. It's a great way to storytell by using text stickers to break down the video into small sized chunks. Let's have a quick look before we dissect it.
Do you know how long humans can survive in a snowstorm? An average human can only survive this long. Here's how you can survive for much longer. First, make a fire to keep warm. Then strategize your resources and build efficiently.
Whiteout Survival. Play free now.
Okay. In this particular video, you see that they use an attention-grabbing hook. In this case, it was from the real world. Make sure the hook you use is relatable, and it's not a hook for a hook's sake, and it has some bit of a connect with your game as well. The video uses extremely catchy music as well, which makes sure you're hooked on and you want to listen to more. Moving on, it has a great connection to the game, so it shows you gameplay and makes sure that you're able to grasp and stay connected with the video as it goes along. And the last one is rewarding attention. Again, this was an asset that was used for performance marketing, and therefore it delivers the call to action with a free-to-play incentive right at the end. The third example is a very interesting one. It's a Q&A format. You might have seen this before, but typically this tends to be a comedic skit-like format. In this case, there is a protagonist, and she seems to have 2 roles, which you will see in just a second. But you essentially reframe your product story from a conversation perspective between 2 people. Let's have a look, and then we dissect it again.
Doctor, help me. I've eaten too many pancakes for pancake day. Oh, you poor thing. You're sick. Yes, it's my stomach. Sit down and let me take a look at you. Well, oh, I did not see you there. I was playing Happy Clinic. What? It's a game where you have to take care of patients and build hospitals. It's so rewarding. Such a great escape from my real life. Well, what about... Oh, right. I forgot. Download it for free now.
This is my personal favorite because it does a couple of things. Number one, it takes a topical event like a pancake day, and then it ladders on an interesting message or a funny message essentially around eating too many pancakes on the pancake day. The protagonist goes to a doctor to get some treatment, but the doctor's too busy. They're playing on their game and they don't have the time to actually look up. So it's pretty funny as the concept goes on. They maintain the attention by having this very interesting dialogue with some music, and then right at the end, it rewards the attention by, again, having a call to action to actually download the game and play it. Let me skip through this one in the interest of time. But let's go to the next one, which is the listicle. Again, this might be a format that you're quite familiar with. There's a lot of brands who do it quite well to make sure that you have again, an editorial approach in the way that you tell your story, but you break it down again into bite-sized chunks. In this particular case, it sets up the creative by promising to share insights around how to survive Valentine's Day when you're single. So it takes something that might be quite personal, it's again relatable, and it puts that into perspective. It'll maintain the attention by combining native headlines, humor as well as gameplay, and it'll end with a call to action. Let's have a quick look.
3 tips to surviving Valentine's Day when you're single.
Tip 1. Download lemon pies. Tip 2. Bake a real-life pie. Tip 3. Profit.
You can use n number of listicles. You must have seen a lot of videos that say 3 ways to do this, 5 ways to recoup when you lose the game, and all kinds of things. So try and use these bite-sized and listicle type of format because it captures the attention, keeps it bite-sized, and also very, very digestible. There's another one here, which is the sound, and like I said, I will come back to sound. This is a pretty popular one. I'll show you the video and I'll talk about, or you'll understand why the sound was so important in this particular asset.
This game is easy. So easy.
Oh, really? How about now? 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 Yeah, I think so.
As you can imagine, if we had the same video but without any sound, it would lose a lot of meaning. And therefore, there's a very, very clever way that the particular studio actually used ear-stopping music to claim the game is easy. It manages to maintain attention through voice challenges, the first claim, and then choose additional harder examples from the game in a funny tone. So it's all about the sound while capturing the gameplay as well. So it's always a good combination. And right at the end, it challenges users, you'll never finish all the levels, which might be a good incentive for a lot of us to actually go ahead and install the game. Now that we've got a sense of what reels are and why they're important and how they work, these are the 3 things that I want you to take away. Number 1, Reels is a language. It's not just a format, it's not just a placement. Building for Reels natively is extremely critical in making sure you have success with this particular placement. Number 2 is, as you're getting started, there's a few very easy creative essentials that you can keep in mind and start implementing immediately. And number 3, tell your story. As we've heard, stories are extremely, extremely important. Find that hook that your audience will relate to, and then make sure you're telling the story with a good combination of an insight as well as your gameplay. And if you're stuck, hopefully some of the examples that I gave you of common story types are a good way to start building your assets based off some of these pre-existing story types and trends. The last thing I want to talk about today is creators and creator partnerships. So a lot of the examples that I just showed you, most of these were built using employees from the company. Some of them was actually user-generated content. So there's nothing particularly important that you might want to work only with creators for your Reels assets. However, there is actually some benefit that you might be able to gain by leveraging creators as well. And let's see how you can get started on that. Creators, as you know, can be a great way to actually tell your brand story in a native format for Reels. They might be able to tell the story a little bit better than maybe the brand would, because they'll put the focus front and center of what is the key insight that they want the user to take away. It'll seem a lot more authentic if it's told by a creator rather than the brand itself. And that's what makes them quite interesting. We have a stat in here which says in 2022, people spent 2 trillion minutes with creator content on Facebook. That's a lot of time. It need not be something where you pick up a creator who has millions of followers, and we'll come to the point of how you pick the right creator in just a second, but making sure that you find someone who fits in with your brand and is able to tell your brand story and is authentic is the way to go. Now, you can use creator content to just build the assets for you. You can have the creator as part of the asset itself, as a voiceover, all kinds of things. But we think that one really interesting way to be able to scale any of the assets that you're building with creators is what we call partnership ads. Partnership ads, or as some of you might know, used to be called branded content ads, which was rebranded by us some time ago. These are a great way to actually use the content that you're building from your brand handle as well as the creator handle. And it can allow you to get more reach, more scale, and be able to reach a higher set of audiences that you'd like. And just some stats here for you again. Partnership ads paired with ads that you run from your own handle, which are called BAU ads, you can have 53% higher click-through rates, 19% drop in cost per acquisition, and a 99% probability to outperform BAU ads only. So that's something you can do if you already have existing assets that you're creating with your creators as well. Coming to the point of choosing a creator, I think this tends to be one of the most difficult things that brands find to do. But again, like I said, it's not about finding a creator who has millions of fans on their page. It's about finding someone who can actually have a good fit with your brand and can tell your brand story in an authentic fashion. You can find someone who has a category fit, someone who has a lifestyle fit, or an artistic fit. And there's multiple different examples that you can choose of who that person might be, but making sure that they have a way or some sort of a connect with your brand is extremely helpful to make sure that the content again feels as authentic as you would like. If you're not sure of how to get started and creator content can feel a little bit daunting, we do have meta business partners who are available that you could leverage to find you the right fit. You have MVPs, as we call them, who can help with Reels templates, with asset optimization, creating UGC style content, or even working with creators and sourcing them to make sure you find the right one that actually fits your brand. So what I want you to take away today, if nothing else, is that Reels isn't just a placement, it's not a format. So you need to think natively about what Reels are and how you're going to build for it. I've shared with you some creative foundations that you can use starting today to ensure that you're building natively for the placement. Storytelling is the most important thing that you will need to think about when making your Reel entertaining. There's a few story types that I shared with you earlier. Hopefully, you'll be able to pick up some of those as a good starting point, layer on your brand messaging, and be on your way. That's it from me today, but if there's anything else that you need from us, we are here to help you and support you. We have a bunch of people from our team that are here as well, and we look forward to seeing all of you scaling your Reels campaigns very shortly. Thanks for your time.